achieved independence, such doubters were a vocal bunch. They predicted all sorts of setbacks and crises. They simply couldn't fathom the idea of a successful India. But India's resolve was bigger than their pessimism. We did not answer the naysayers with words. We showed them with results.
Or in but very substantially.
Let's begin with the OG racist, Winston Churchill. He opposed the idea of Indian independence. For him, India was not a nation. Look at what he said. India is no more a political personality than the equator. Full marks for ignorance. Churchill believed that British rule brought order to India, that if they left, there would be chaos, and that India would witness so-called Hindu despotism. As it turned out, none of that happened. India now has a deep sense of national and political identity, and we created a resilient and secular society. Churchill also said something else before independence. We are turning over India to men of straw, like the caste Hindu Nehru, of whom in a few years no trace will remain. Again, wrong. Nehru was Prime Minister for almost 17 years. He has been followed by a list of brave leaders, not men of straw, though Downing Street has seen a few of those. India's post-independence years proved Churchill wrong. We always had a national identity, an identity that continues to grow. Meanwhile, Churchill is facing an identity crisis at home. His statues are being defaced and vandalized. I guess his own so-called political personality did not endure. What's worth noting is also the Western press coverage. They made it seem like Britain was doing us a favor. Look at The Observer. There is no parallel in history for this act of statesmanship, as there is none for the moral and material benefits which the British Raj has brought to India. In simpler words, they said that India should be thankful for being colonized. Now look at the New York Times. They called it a triumph for British and Indian statesmanship. Basically, they're giving Britain credit for leaving India. It's like congratulating the arsonist for eventually putting down the match. And finally, you have Canada's Globe and Mail. As the long history of British rule ends, it is impossible not to look back and recall Britain's great services to India. I wonder what those great services were. The famines, the partition violence, the loot. This coverage reflects Western thinking about India. They did not see colonialism as an injustice. They saw it as a saving grace for India. So naturally, they expected India to fail once the British left. The doomsday predictions continued well into the 1960s. Look at Selig Harrison's book, The Most Dangerous Decades. He was an American scholar and journalist. He talked about a succession dilemma in India. He warned that after Nehru, India would face balkanization. Basically, India could break apart. He also believed that the army could play an authoritarian role. Of course, he was totally wrong. India's unity remains intact. We have proven that Indian democracy is not the work of politicians, it is the work of Indian people. Leaders may come and go, but Indian democracy endures. The likes of Harrison never got it, because they saw democracy as incompatible with India. Another big complaint was the population. Many predicted that India would have too many mouths to feed. One such prediction came in 1968. An ecologist named Paul Ehrlich published a book called Population Bomb. It focused heavily on India's massive population. Ehrlich had a deeply pessimistic conclusion. He said the battle to feed all of humanity was over. He predicted that millions would die. They would die of starvation in the 1970s. Again, India proved him wrong. We devised the Green Revolution to feed our people. Farmers switched to modified food crops. New watering techniques were adopted, and soon India went from food scarcity to self-sufficiency. Today, we have a massive stockpile of food grains. In 1967 came another prophet of doom, Neville Maxwell, a reporter for the Times. He traveled around India ahead of the 1967 general elections, and his conclusions? The great experiment of developing India within a democratic framework has failed. This would be India's fourth and surely last general election. He predicted that the army would swoop in. How wrong he was. 1967 was not India's last general election. We had our 18th general election in 2024. It was the largest election in human history. Other countries are now studying Indian election practices. They want to replicate India's success. I could go on with more examples, but I'm sure you get the point. There was a consistent pattern with respect to India. The West was looking for excuses to write India off. After independence, the issue was literacy and poverty. Surely democracy could not flourish in a poor and illiterate country. They were wrong. Then the issue was leadership. With Nehru gone, surely India would disintegrate. Again, they were wrong. Then population became an issue. And after that, the emergency declared by Indira Gandhi. Many commentators did not expect India to survive the emergency. They thought it was the end of India's democratic experiment. Again, wrong. India held elections in 1977 and the people voted out Indira Gandhi. Then came the 1990s and the economic crisis. Several experts predicted that India's economy would collapse. Again, India endured. We opened up our economy and avoided bankruptcy. Now, all these predictions make you wonder, why? Why such pessimism towards India? Well, one reason could be racism, especially in the 1940s and 50s. These Western leaders and experts saw Indians as inferior. Surely they couldn't handle themselves. Another reason could be fear. Fear that their castle of falsehoods would be toppled. The West created a narrative of rationality around colonialism. They said the native people could not rule themselves. They were primitive and incapable. That was always their justification for colonialism. It wasn't about plunder. It was about helping the so-called savages. But what if the native people showed that they could be rulers? That they could create modern nation states? The facade of Western colonialism would be busted. That is why the West feared India's success. Because it meant that the empire lost twice. First the colony, then the story.